Alright, it's been a while. Let me just tell you where I'm up to. It's going to be quite a bit of show and tell. I think you'll be surprised at some of the things that I've done around here. We finally got some windows. No, not a sponsor. Comes in a couple of flat packs. And this is the thing assembled. It had a number of fins to be able to lock two pieces of window together as a modular fashion. One down the bottom that interlocks with some V-shaped fins. They grab on like this. The key with this window, I would have liked to have had it in by now, but it came with this. I had a couple of options to choose from, and at the time I chose for some casing that suited galvanized or zinc aluminum type steel, which is typical of sheds around Australia. Trouble is, I'm also mounting this into a shed where I've extended the width of the walls because of the desire to put extra insulation and gyprock in. So these casings that it came with were 90mm in width, and I need to go out to 140. So I've just been down to the hardware store, bought some Meranti. My neighbour next door explains that unlike pine, this is a very good option for creating the casings around door frames. Pine, especially Australian radiata pine. I'm trying to look for a piece around here, just give me a sec. It comes with a lot of knots, and these knots here make it particularly difficult for chiseling out and creating the areas where, for instance, you would put the latch of the door with the strike plate just in here. Chiseling out this sort of stuff is quite difficult, problematic. This has got a much finer grain, makes it easier to work with, chisel out, and you're not going to suffer from the knots. I just installed two sliding doors into the lounge room of my house, and that had a Meranti very thin veneer on top. I thought it was actual Meranti doors, turned out to be pine, and right where I wanted to put the inset door handle for the sliding doors, guess what I found? And that was a very most significant knot, and it took a lot of effort to be able to chisel that out. So one of these woods, one of these hardwoods, you could use something like oak in that as well if you wanted to finish it. That's the advice. So I need to cut this to size, install it along these aluminium pins, screw it to that, and the casing will go all the way around, and that'll be slid into the window cavity. Another thing that I've done, which has been a lot of fun, is my neighbour next door suggested, you're making a lovely front to it, you're using some fibre cement sheeting. Why not carry that down the side and take off the sheet metal? And so that's what I've done. So at the moment we've got no skin on the shed, going from where the double glass doors is going to be on this side all the way through to the other side. You can see the beginnings of the hole. I need to make it a little bit lower into the wall where the window will also go. I'll show you a couple of close pointers. Now this project did require a few little structural changes to the shed. If anything, almost all of the structural changes have been additive. So what we have along the side here is I've also built up a vertical frame. And the reason for that is the fibre cement sheeting that we'll be installing on the outside of the shed goes on the horizontal. And so without these vertical beams, then there would be nothing for these cement sheets to hold on to. So in between the already horizontal beams, I've added vertical beams along at around about the 600mm length. I've also, just to create a little bit more rigidity, not something that the shed needs, we've added some of this steel webbing, this steel strips, ribbon, it's probably got a technical term, and these go across here, pulled tight down, just inset, just a little bit of chiseling here just to set the steel, so therefore the concrete sheeting can sit over the top mounted on this. Just to give you a perspective on how the profile of the shed looks now that the steel has been taken off. The steel used to mount on the outside there we go, that's a cupcake. My lovely wife, the caterer of this film crew, just brought out the refreshments, so I'll eat that in a sec. So the steel used to sit on the outside of this. It used to be nailed with these nails here that keep the steel on. That's all that held the steel on. Mind you, it held it on really well because it was quite difficult. We had to use a shovel to get behind to pull it off because we couldn't push it from the other side, because guess what I put on the other side? That's right, that's the sarking. So I couldn't get through to that side of the steel. That was the complete thickness. Well, the thickness of the steel was millimeters, but it sat on this side, and then that was the inside of the shed. So since then we've added, which is 70 mil going this direction here, and then we've got one of the same pieces of timber, which is 70 by 35, turned around in the opposite direction, mounted on the outside. And so this is what is going to hold the casing of the window. Not only do we need the casings for the window, but we also bought the casings today for the door. And so we've got a couple of different profiles of timber here. Like, this is sitting on my pile of cement fibre sheeting, which is also supporting my cupcake. So this is again Meranti, same style of timber as before. We've got a couple of different widths because the front wall is a little bit thinner and the side wall is the same profile that I was just explaining before. So these are the lengths of Meranti that I bought, and they'll be installed to carry the door, otherwise called door casings. So that's caught us all up. Gave you the ideas what I'm doing in regards to fibro cement on the outside, which is going to be the new skin of the outside of the building. And this is going to be our double glass door space, and along the front going out to the front of the house. So I'll try and make some of the X clips a little bit more frequent, because now we're going to be getting into the nitty gritty of how to mount the door plates.